Hey, all. Happy Friday. We are back with another episode of the Tech Behind FinTech. I'm your host, Nnamdi Osuagwu, where we talk about the FinTech news and technology of behind the scenes. We like to say the technology that powers the money. So we're going to get into some of that and some cybersecurity related events. Hope everyone's doing well. If you're listening, if you're watching, give a shout out on chat. Let me know how you're doing. Like I said, Fridays are always love a Friday because it's the start of the weekend. Okay, getting some housekeeping things in order before we kick things off. Have a few things to discuss today. We found kind of interesting during the week. Some recent events we're gonna hit upon, and then we're gonna get into this new open source software. What do you call it? An SBOM, software supply chain software bill of materials from Microsoft. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to cover that last. Also, okay, yeah, let's do the housekeeping things, right? So we're going live right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and we're also live on Instagram. So thanks for joining everyone who's watching. See my man Joe just hit on Instagram. All right, so here's the deal. If you're on Instagram and you want to see the slides that we put up on the video, go to the techbehindfintech.com. That website is pinned, and on our platforms on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and LinkedIn, you'll see some of the slides that we put up. But on Instagram, you're getting behind the scenes footage of the show today. So without further ado, let's jump into some news articles of the day. Uh, Before I start, because I got in trouble for this. Our sponsor is Strategic Generation. Check them out, strategicgeneration.com, targeting the fintechs and insurance industry, providing SOC 2 and compliance. So let me jump into that. We'll have more on our sponsor, and they're also tagged below. Okay. First news article of the day. Klarna lands 800 million funding as valuations cut from 6.7 billion from 45.6 billion last year. So Klarna, buy now, pay later. We talked about it. We've been talking about this industry for the last few months. They got hit hard with the recent turn of events in terms of interest rates increasing and inflation and so forth. So they were worth last year 45.6 billion. Right now they're worth 6.7 billion, but that did not stop them from landing 800 million in funding in a recent financing round. So let's get into that. Um, the new valuation is down almost 39 billion from last year when the company was valued at 45.6 billion, following a 639 million funding round led by Japanese firm SoftBank. The news come amid global market downturn, and the company says it has not been immune to significant downdrafts of fintech stock in public markets. A couple of things. Klarna says the fresh investment in Klarna occurred during possibly the worst set of circumstances to afflict stock markets since World War II. High inflation, rising interest rates, mounting fears of a recession, the after effects of the first global pandemic since 1918, strains on the commerce caused by supply chain disruptions, rising gas prices, and especially in Europe, the dislocations caused by the war in Ukraine. Well said. It was interesting how they put all those different factors. Despite this, the company has raised funds from existing investors, including Sequoia, Bestseller, Silver Lake, and Commonwealth Bank of Australia, as well as new investors, Mubadala Investment Company, the sovereign fund of the UAE, and a Canada Pension Plan Investment Board. The company also points out that despite the drop in valuation, it is still 3 times higher than back in 2018, outperforming Klarna's public peers for the same time period. It adds the company's peers are down 80 to 90% versus peak valuations, and consequently, the adjustments in Klarna valuation is on par with its public peers from its 45.6 billion valuation from June 2021. It's a lot. I mean, various factors definitely impacting the valuation, as they mentioned. Also, as you know, what's going on currently globally. Still, going from 45.6 down to 6.7 is significant in 1 year. But they are chugging along. Um, the industry based on, I don't know if you're familiar with buy now, pay later, but with these types of with this service, literally what it says is, you could take out like a loan in a sense for items that you want to buy online and you pay for it later, similar to a credit card and so forth. So we've been talking about this industry for a while now from a security standpoint. Some have used the service and simply abandoned their responsibilities. So it's interesting, and Klarna is not the only firm in this space. There's quite a few. So just wanted to talk about that for a second. And let's move on to the next one. Who's on? Oh, cool. Have some people on from Instagram. Hey, John. Um, Next, let's get into another article right now. All right, this one's huge. So, Celsius Network files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The crypto lender said it has 167 million in cash on hand and will continue to freeze customer withdrawals. Let's talk about from the CEO. This is the right decision for our community and our company. I'm confident, and when we look back at the history of Celsius, we will see this as a defining moment. We're acting with resolve and confidence, serve the community, and strengthen the future of the company. That's from Alex Shensky. So, what does that mean? So, essentially, yeah. So Celsius, crypto lender, providing amazing interest rates when you deposited your crypto into their accounts. If you got, you want to get interest payments on with their coin, you would make out a little bit better. But essentially, if you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, whatever coins you have, you put it in here, they give you a high rate of interest. Well, high relatively speaking, and they also can lend out crypto. They also lend out crypto to other to people who want to borrow it, right? And they have to collateralize it and so forth. So similar to banks, but for crypto, it's more in the decentralized finance market. So let's understand what's going on right now. Chapter 11 is the process in the U.S. through which companies restructure their financial obligations while operations continue. So this announcement obviously doesn't mean that they're out of business. They're still and from their website, many well-known companies have successfully reorganized under Chapter 11 and emerged stronger, including American Airlines, Delta, General Motors, Hertz, and Marvel, to name a few. So, like I said before, similar to a bank in which you deposit, they give you some interest on your crypto. Unfortunately, they paused withdrawals on June 12th, 2022. They said they made the difficult but necessary decision to pause withdrawals, swaps, and transfers on our platform to stabilize our business and protect our customers. So, essentially, what that means, if you're not familiar with this particular space, let's say that you deposited funds in a bank and the bank told you your funds are still there. You can go online and view your funds. You just can't withdraw it. So in the crypto world, it's similar to that concept, but they're still servicing loans and so forth. So a few things to note about that. Up until the Chapter 11 filing, um, users on Celsius were still getting rewards in the form of, like the interest of the rewards in their crypto. Since the Chapter 11 filing, that has ceased. So that's no longer. So that's what they said. Most account activity will be paused until further notice. Withdrawals, swaps, and transfers between accounts will remain paused, and rewards will stop accruing as of the date of the filing. Celsius is not requesting authority to allow customer withdrawals at this time. So essentially, customers cannot get access. I guess access is an interesting word to use. So, You can access, meaning view your funds. You just can't withdraw it and move it to another wallet. So Chapter 11 in general for their vendor payments. So goods and services provided from July 13th on are considered post-petition. So they filed this on July 13th. So this is really like late breaking. They just happened to do this a couple of days ago. So if you're a vendor and you're getting goods and providing goods or services, that you will be paid in normal course. In fact, we are required by the court to pay all of our post-petition obligations as they come due. Goods and services provided before the filing date are considered pre-petition and cannot be paid without the court's permission. Treatment of pre-petition obligations are generally determined at the end by the end of the Chapter 11 case. Their estimated liabilities are from 1 billion to 10 billion. Their estimated assets are from 1 billion to 10 billion. I have an exact number, just what I've been getting from the research. Yeah, so it's a few things. And it's important to know in terms of the customers, they're not requesting authority to allow customer withdrawals at this time. Customers' claims will be addressed through the Chapter 11 process. Kirkland and Ellis LLP is serving as legal counsel. Centerview Partners is serving as financial advisor, and Alvarez and Marshall is serving as the restructuring advisor. So, from reading what the CEO is saying, this is not the end. It's going to mark a historic time in their history. Just a note, right? Chapter bankruptcies can go on and payouts can go on for years. I want to point out Lehman, right? For example. So Lehman bankruptcy happened September 15th, 2008 was the climax after financial services year. So around that time, like 2008, Lehman's bankruptcy happened. They are still distributing payouts up until now. So that's 14 years later. I'm going to post some articles real quick. And I'm going to post the article on Celsius bankruptcy. I'm going to put it in the chats. I'm going to post, that's what I have. They have some more information on their website. And I'm going to post this article from Lehman, not Lehman, but people distributing payouts, because Lehman's payout, they were the largest, Lehman filed Chapter 11 petition that remains the largest bankruptcy filing in U.S. history, involving more than $600 billion in assets. So in a few months ago, a court ordered them to distribute the final payout of $269 million to unsecured investors. Why do I post this? Why are we talking about Lehman and we're talking about crypto? And obviously, Lehman's was a major investment bank, and Celsius is nowhere near there. Why am I talking about it? Because Chapter 11, although it's saying it's not an overnight process. So I'm not saying that this particular issue is going to go for 14 years. I'm just saying that cases have gone for 14 years. So it's really interesting. I don't know if this is, like I said, the whole thing. If you're a customer of Celsius and have money tied up there, for lack of a better words, it sucks. And you have to see what's going to happen and how you're going to retrieve your funds. But definitely have to see how it plays out. So that's what's going on there. But like I said, according to their website, according to the CEO, they're optimistic that they're going to get past this, and customers in the community will get their funds. So we're yet to see. Got more people joining from Instagram. Hey, Candace. So yeah, if you're on Instagram and you want to see, because some of the as we talk, we actually post things in a slideshow. You can go to the Tech Behind FinTech. If not, you could just stay on Instagram. If you have questions, when you have questions and you go to our Tech Behind FinTech and you view it on YouTube, you can actually post your questions and we'll bring it on the big screen. And Instagram will just answer if there are questions around that. All right, so interesting stuff. All right, let's move on. Speaking of bankruptcies and DeFi projects, in your next episode of Going Girl, so get this. So Three Arrows Capital, right? It's based in Singapore. They're going through a bankruptcy right now. And the two founders, Zhu Su and Kyle Davies, bounced. Their whereabouts are currently unknown. So this is like crazy. Like they're just out. But here's what. So lawyers representing the creditors say that the physical whereabouts of Zhu Su and Kyle Davies, who started Three Arrows in 2012, are currently unknown ahead of a hearing that is scheduled. I guess it was scheduled for the 13th to discuss next steps in liquidation process. Three Arrows, also known as 3AC, managed about 10 billion in assets as recently as March. On July 1st, the firm filed for Chapter 15 bankruptcy protection from U.S. creditors in the Southern District of New York after a plunge in cryptocurrencies and a collapse of the Terra USD stablecoin. So we talked about the Terra USD stablecoin a few months ago. So what a stablecoin is something that's pegged usually to like $1, and it's 1 for 1. So if you have, one of those, and it's not supposed to be as volatile. Unfortunately, Terra crashed, and that was not the case. A lot of people lost a lot of money. Apparently, Three Arrows was exposed to that. So yeah, and the difference between Chapter 15 and Chapter 11, Chapter 15, the automatic stay and relief granted for bankruptcy court apply only with respect to debtors' properties within the territorial limits of the United States. Chapter 11 is intended to provide extraterritorial relief as to the debtor's assets wherever located. According to Friday's court filing, Zhu and Davies, both former traders for Credit Suisse, participated in an introductory Zoom call last week to discuss basic steps to preserve their assets. Neither founder turned on his video, and both remained muted for the duration of the call, with all dialogue conducted through counsel. Their lawyer said at the time that they intended to cooperate. During the meeting, representatives helping to facilitate the liquidation requested immediate access to 3AC's Three Arrows offices and to information related to their bank accounts and digital wallets. As of Friday, that access has not been granted, the filing says. When the fund's liquidators previously arrived at the Three Arrows Singapore office in late June in an attempt to meet with the founders, the offices appeared vacant except for a number of inactive computer screens. So here's the deal, right? Killing for a lot of assets, but in this case, the risk is heightened because substantial portion of their assets are comprised of cash and digital assets, such as cryptocurrencies, non-fungible tokens that are readily transferable, according to Russell Crumpler from Teneo. Also, and with their falling, it hit other brokerages as well. So Voya Digital filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection because they were owed roughly 670 million from 3AC that 3AC borrowed from Voyager. So it was a knock-on effect. US-based crypto lenders Genesis and BlockFi, crypto derivatives platforms BitMEX and crypto exchange FTX are also being hit with losses due to Three Arrows. And once again, the guys on the screen essentially left the building. Literally, they're gone. They are on the lam. They are nowhere to be found. Wild times for real. Okay, first of all, let's check our comments. Let's see if anybody is commenting. Okay, nobody's commenting. So Oh, hey, Candace, right back at you. Comment on Instagram. Can't bring that comment on. Can't bring the Instagram comments on the screen. Only comments from Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn. We can do that. All right, so we're gonna move on to our last and final article. Oh yeah, no, before we do that, so yeah, this is just some stuff from their website. Things were literally good, all good just a week ago. You can see they were still making moves last year, and then all of a sudden, like other firms this year, just crashed, and these guys have are nowhere to be found. Very interesting. Okay, next article. Really cool stuff. Let's talk about this. Security related. Microsoft releases open source toolkit for generating S SBOMs, whatever SBOMs, software bill of materials. It's a formal record containing the details of a supply chain relationships of various components used in building software. So, I would like to describe it, and we kind of touched on this last week during the NPM package compromise, right? So, you think about a software bill of materials, it's like any supply chain. The great analogy I've heard used years ago, and I still use to this day, is look at cars, right? So if you purchased a new car, right, it went through various different components and manufacturers to build that car, right? Even if you purchase, I don't know, a Toyota or a Jaguar, whatever car you purchase, right? Various vendors are linked to that supply chain to get to the final product. Software is similar. You have various open source libraries, different parts of the supply. Like in this diagram we have here, you can look, right? You have various different includes, different libraries that comprise of the final product, the final application. So previously to using an SBOM, these things were kind of developers use it, it's there. You really didn't have a way to document it. So, a lot of companies and also there's been initiatives to bring that to fruition because here's the deal, right? If you understand your software bill of materials and you understand all the components, and then you now cross check that and just keep your hand on the pulse of what's going on, when vulnerabilities pop up on one of those components, then you can take necessary actions to remediate, update, patch, whatever you have to do. But if that's part of like threat intelligence, because these are all the components that comprise of your software, and understand when we say software bill of materials, not all of these components you are developing, right? You're developing certain aspects and you're calling of it, so you're leveraging it. And as the saying goes, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So having a detailed software bill of materials, now you're able to cross check that with the current state of vulnerabilities and just in general. So it's something that's dynamic that you have to constantly stay on top of, and there are tools that can do that for you. And all of a sudden, you now know when you're exposed or when your product or software is exposed to a certain vulnerability or malicious actor or whatever. So let's get some information. Um, Software bill of materials has emerged as a key building block in the software security and software supply chain risk management. An SBOM is nested inventory, a list of ingredients that make up the software components. The SBOM work has advanced since 2008. The SBOM work has advanced since 2018 as a collaborative community effort driven by the National Telecommunications and Information Administration's multi-stakeholder process, the NTIA. So the NTIA has been busy issuing technical documentation, corralling industry feedback, and proposing the use of existing formats for the creation, distribution, and enforcement of SBOM. So Microsoft's tool that they open sourced is part of they said it's part of a move to help organizations be more transparent about supply chain relationships between components used in building a software product. The tool is called Salus. It works across platforms, including Windows, Linux, and Macs to generate SBOMs based on the SPDX specification. So I'm going to try to experiment for next week. Actually, like I'm excuse me. And when we say open source, so that means this tool is free. It doesn't. It's not. Even though it's tied to a commercial vendor, which is Microsoft, them saying they open source their tool, meaning that they made it free and accessible, so anyone can use it. I'm going to post some links, by the way. Let me post a link to this article, number one. And then I'm going to post a link to the tool itself, the Salus tool on GitHub. So how most of these tools are where they're located. Salus. I definitely want to experiment with this tool next week. If I do, I'll keep you posted. Time permitting, obviously. But I have some situations that can actually use this, so I like to run it on. Okay, a few things. So last year there was an executive order. So US President Joe Biden signed an executive order improving the country's oh wait, I'm sorry. Let me just finish posting this link. So here's the Salus link for GitHub. So you can get it from there. So all this is in part to the executive order improving the country's cybersecurity defense. The order represents the government's response to the SolarWinds and other significant attacks carried out by foreign threat actors. Um, so Microsoft wants to help with that effort. It's pretty awesome. Can't be mad at that. And let's talk about this. So dropped a couple of terms. So you can look up the and having a software bill of materials is a major part of that executive order. And I mentioned SolarWinds. So let's go back to SolarWinds and why is that even relevant? So yeah, attackers compromised the widely used software at the source, meaning the SolarWinds in turn giving them ability to infect anyone who uses it. That's so SolarWinds had a software supply chain attack early on in their source. They obviously update their code that's in there, and all users using it could be impacted. In this case, it meant that so I guess it was the part investigation to say was carried out by Russian intelligence. So Russian intelligence had the potential to access as many as 18,000 SolarWinds customers. They ultimately broke into fewer than 100 choice networks, including those of Fortune 500 companies like Microsoft and the U.S. Justice Department, State Department, and NASA. So SolarWinds hack was like pretty big. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post a SolarWinds hack, so you can understand why all this stuff is coming. It's how it's all connected, really. And obviously, Microsoft was compromised, and they have a lot of resources, so it definitely behooved them to start diving more into their SBOM of their vendors and so forth. Um, so let's go to the next slide about it. So, what are some of the benefits of an SBOM, meaning software bill of material? Benefits of SBOMs accrue to both software suppliers and consumers and are similar for both. They include identifying and avoiding known vulnerabilities, quantifying and managing licenses, identifying. So licenses, that's also important. Even though you use open source components, and I said it's free, it is, but they might have license restrictions. So if you're leveraging it in commercial software, you have to be cognizant of those license restrictions. Once again, you can do it manually, which is depending on how much code you have, which will be very involved, or there's actual tools that can help with that. Identifying both security and license compliance requirements, as just stated, enabling quantification of risk inherent in the software package, managing mitigations of vulnerabilities, including patching and compensating controls for new vulnerabilities, lower operating costs due to improved efficiencies, and reduce unplanned and unscheduled work. And I'm going to add threat intelligence, right? Because I mean, you correlate, right? If you know your software bill of materials, you can match that against what's going on in the industry, what's vulnerabilities, and you can tie them back. So that's should be a form of connecting your threat intelligence, in my opinion. Okay. Yeah, that is that's it. Do we have any comments? Hit on a couple of interesting topics today, spanning from a couple of bankruptcies going on in the DeFi crypto space, and went into the software bill of materials. Once again, that tool is Salus. It's open source. Experiment with it. I think it's interesting. I definitely want to play around with it, scan it against some packages I have access to, and see if we come up with a software bill of materials using it. I have not used it yet. Just found out about it in prepping for this show, but it's something that I want to see. I want to see what it produces. So if I'm able to, I will shoot back and bring it up on a future episode. I think for me that's it. Hey, Jason joined. What's up, man? Okay, that's the talking about Instagram. All right. What else is there to talk about from a show perspective? Those are the topics that we want to cover today. 33 minutes in. Not bad, not bad. This. So I want everyone to have a happy weekend. As always, thanks for joining. Definitely appreciate the viewership, both on Instagram, also on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch. All those links can be found on our website, the Tech Behind FinTech. Definitely appreciate it. Once again, the show is sponsored by our sponsor, Strategic Generation. You can view their website providing services to the insurance and fintech industry regarding SOC 2 compliance and developing information security programs on a risk-based approach. So that is it for me. I'm going to log off. I bid everyone a very happy weekend. Enjoy your summer weekend. Enjoy your time. That's it. Cheers. Take care.